show this beautiful, pretty screen first. This first little slide, we just cannot miss that. So again, this is a quick overview of our evening. We will have opportunity for questions at the end. A quick overview of our program. When we look at this, all the work that we are doing, we currently have 47 and a half licensed teachers, 46 trained paraprofessionals, and then you can see those numbers. They have definitely increased since our last time together as a group. We do have, as of February, 40 level pending students, so that could increase our number potentially. And then we always highlight the fact that we do have 1864, so 1,864 formal multilingual learners. And then we also have 99 native English speakers. Now, this is important to know because, as we all know in our buildings, you're continuing to see our program grow. We continue to see new students enrolling on a weekly basis. And so we want to thank our LAP staff for their work getting students screened quickly and creating those ILPs. Our next screen is really, really good information. You can see how we have had wonderful growth in our program. We discussed the dip that took place in 2016. But look at this year. So far this year, as of February 2024, we have 4,524 multilingual learners in our school district. And I also wanted to share with you that when we count that 4,000 number, those are students that are levels 1 to 4.9. Okay. Garden City is our largest elementary. Lyndhurst is our largest middle school. And then, of course, Ben Davis High School currently has 698 multilingual learners. But just since the start of my time as the LAP curriculum coordinator, our program has grown over 1,300 students. So that is quite a jump, but it's also a testament to the great work we're doing and the reputation we have in our community, in our Indianapolis community, for the work that we do with our multilingual learners. This is a snapshot that shows you where each school falls. So just take a moment to gloss over that information. We're going to do an activity where you will actually be able to talk a little bit more about this evening. But just take a moment to look. This is a great breakdown for each school as of February 11th, 2024. Look at the large number of level 1 students that we have in our district, as well as level 3 students.
So sorry. Thank you, Dr. Murph. And hello, everyone. That screen is just to show just a little bit of the complexity that is behind the number that you see. And it is mostly to illustrate that when you see a number that we have 4,500 multilingual students, there is a story behind them. And it's very hard to make assumptions when you encounter one of them. There's different levels that you're going to see in those students, but also there's a different story. Some of them might be newcomers, and they came to the U.S. maybe less than 3 years ago. Some of them might be with us for a longer time. So it's just basically a snapshot of how is compounded the 4,500 students that we show. There are other metrics that we're not showing here, but I assure you, it's not as simple when you see a multilingual student. There are many things to take into consideration in order to service those students. The next screen explains a bit more about what happens to those students who came from outside the U.S. Some of them are no longer considered immigrants from the DOE point of view. For us, and anyone who was born outside of the U.S. is an immigrant. But for the DOE, only those who are 3 years or less of being in U.S. schools. So out of the 2,500 students who were born outside of the U.S., only 1,500 of them qualify as being called as immigrants from the DOE point of view. Everybody else is no longer an immigrant for them.
Thank you, William. Thank you so much. And so we're going to go to this next screen because the more information you have about students in our district, the more we're able to speak to the work we do, the families that we serve. And this next one talks about the number of countries. And those that have been with us for a while, you know that this fluctuates. We could have this number today, and then next month we might have less, we might have more. But it's really important as you look at this information to take into account that this chart does not factor in the country of origin of the family, okay? So any US born student that's in our EL program, they must be counted under the US, regardless of where what their language was shown on the home language survey, regardless of where their parents say, you know, that they are from as a family. So think about all the students you serve and how this number could be multiplied, to be honest. But to know that from the students we're serving, 87 countries are represented, that's a huge number. Look at those numbers for Nicaragua, Honduras, Nigeria. I mean, we have so much diversity that's demonstrated here on this slide. And one thing that we're doing when I go on visits is to also capitalize on that as I meet with each principal, but I'll get into that a little bit later. This next one, again, we want to show our top 20 countries out of those 87 countries. And then take a look at the languages. 80 languages represented here in the MSD of Wayne Township. I know people have mentioned how they've seen an increase with our families that speak Creole and Haitian Creole. But that's being seen all over Indianapolis, this entire area. When we have our students for our elementary summer school program for students with refugee status, we have a lot of Kinyarwanda and Tigrinya, but we notice also we had more Swahili for last summer than we've had in the past. When we start planning for that again this year, it'll be interesting to see what pops up. Here are the top 20 languages here in Wayne Township. And I know that you're all aware of this because you see it in the requests that you have to use the language line. We have seen that pick up more and more over the years, especially as the diversity of our language increases. We've had to rely on that support a lot more. Okay, so of course you're not going to remember all that. We know that. But what we're going to do next is we're going to have you make some noticings, okay? Give me 1 second. I'm going to drop a link in the chat box. So you should be able to see in the chat that there's a Google link. Click on to make sure that you can actually get into it. I think we have almost everyone back. So let's go ahead and start with some of our noticings or wonderings from our last meeting with the data you had. Can we get someone from group 1 to share out really quickly? Group 1.
Was that our group, William?
I think so, yeah.
I'd be happy to share. I think our general conversation was around just the collective effort needed across for everybody as we look at, you know, the increase of level 1s, level 2s, but then also the number of students that even have been in our schools for 3+ years that are continuing the program in that way, and that it's going to take all of us, classroom teachers, EL teachers, everybody, administration, to continue to do the work that we know is needed, and to put our multilingual learners kind of at the center of some of the work that we do to just make the gains that we know can happen if we do that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. What about group 2?
I'll go. We just talked about the increase in level 1 and just about how even since January, the number of increase in students that we've had. At Garden City, they were talking about having almost 30 kids enroll and 20 some of them being language learners. It's the same thing at Westlake. So just the increase in enrollment just recently. And then we also talked about—
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And then we just
Okay.
talked about the language line and how helpful that's been to make sure that all the families of all the different languages have the ability to connect with the school and what's going on in the building. So that's pretty much what we talked about.
All right. Thank you. What about group 3?
I can go. It's this is Leslie from Chapel Hill. We actually talked very similar about the same thing from group 2 about the influx of level 1s and the diversity that's coming with that. And also in regards to it's the same on the elementary level as middle school. And we also talked about how the needs and the backgrounds of the kids on those with the languages and the countries is quite different with all the enrollments as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Thank y'all for that. Okay. So as we keep, diving in further, because you've said really great points, because we know, we're constantly tracking, how many students are enrolling, what it looks like at each building, looking at how we keep those ratios aligned. And so it is always a moving target. And so we're thinking about ways that we can support students, staff, and families in our programming, and then ways that we really help our families with our multilingual family meetings. We also have meetings for families that have refugee status. What are some supports specifically for our newcomer families? And Buki's going to get into that a little bit more. I wanted to also make sure that folks knew that I'm going to each building and meeting with administrators throughout the rest of this year. The goal is to get done before spring break. And if you've seen, you've seen on our slides how we have the makeup for the district, we're also sharing that with each administrator, but also the information pertinent to their particular school, because it's very important for us to know that information and be able to share it quickly when people ask. And so when I come to each school, I'm able to talk about that information, talk about some instructional assistance that might be helpful as far as clustering students, and just being able to sit down and talk with each building leader to gain some more insight from them after we share the information that we have to share. I think that's going to be very crucial because, as you mentioned in your groups, we are closely approaching 30% of our student population being multilingual learners. We're currently at 27. And so when we think about getting close to that 30% mark, it has to be a shift in how we provide instruction overall. Because even if we get to 30% and then 40% and maybe 50%, you never know, we wouldn't continue to add staff in that sense, particularly with our ENL students. We would think about what does it look like for them in the classroom. But we know people need help with that. People need support. And so we'll dive into that, but that's when those school visits are really going to come in handy. We'll share also about our LAP website, our parent channel, because we communicate that to our families through Parent Square, but we also want to make sure that you're able to share that information with them if you have your own newsletters and communication that you send out to them on a regular basis. We'll hone in on the Parent Square and the Skyward piece. And then just to give you an update for immunizations, I know it was a hot topic because majority of those students were students in the LAP program. And so next year for LAP Family Night, we are going to have an immunization clinic there as well. So with that, on top of the ones we currently have at schools throughout the school year, our goal is to make sure we're communicating, frequently, and we have multiple opportunities for them to participate. And we get hundreds of people that show up for LAP Family Night. So what better way than to have it right there that evening as well? So just a quick update with that. I want to thank you all for promoting our counseling supports for our multilingual students. This year, I was also able to add it because before it was for students that were newcomers only. because we had lost that immigrant influx grant, but we were able to find some dollars with our Title I grant and really thinking about how we can do that for all of our multilingual students, because we know that they all have needs. Really, to be honest, all of our students have needs, but we had to find a way to meet the needs of that group because many of them that wanted the counseling didn't qualify because they were not under the category of a newcomer. So now we have opportunities for our multilingual students, our newcomers, and even those that fall under students with refugee status. And so we have gotten a great influx of those. And I am so thankful because parents are able to meet with them, get all that intake information going. And I've been signing more of those agreements to provide them with those services. So please don't hesitate. If you have any questions about a particular child, please feel free to reach out. But please keep those coming because if we can meet their needs, we're going to meet as many as we can before the funds run out. Because what happened in the past, I would have to amend a grant to put that in different category because people weren't using it. So I'm so thankful that y'all have been using that. When we think about our students who have refugee status, we are going to look again to have year 3 of our elementary summer school for those students. It looks different than traditional summer school, but it is a great opportunity to acclimate them to our community and to have more support for them individually in those, because it's a really small group, for them to get that support from a teacher and a paraprofessional in the summer. We've been blessed to be able to offer tutoring after school for our secondary students, because the goal is to make sure we provide for one group, we provide for the secondary group as well. And that has started. It is going really well for them. And then for our staffing, those people that have been, having those conversations, we've been able to look at those additional permanent positions for next school year. And so the goal for that is to make sure that we are matching up ratios as close as possible. We had to look at secondary very closely because if they would have gone back to the 4 teachers that they had before, think about that, 698 students with 4 teachers. They would have had 175 students apiece. And so we had to take great care in looking at that. And then also our middle schools and our 9th grade center, we had Lyndhurst with like 360 plus students, and they would have had to go back to 2 teachers. So as we look, the goal is to think across the board on what we need. We traditionally have not had as many secondary students as we've had the last 2 or 3 years. And so we've got to make sure that we're getting as close as possible. But we'll keep everyone updated about that. But that's why that shift will have to take place as we think about our general education classrooms and providing that sheltered instruction. Just to give you an update on our professional development, in case you wanted to know, our LAP teachers and paraprofessionals, they conduct work together when it comes to those e-learning modules for WIDA. We continue the district training at schools across the district when it comes to our new WIDA ELD standards. We've been fortunate to have Dr. Law return. I've been able to go to elementary schools. I've been able to get to the high school this year, which has been wonderful. She continues to focus on sheltered instruction so our students can have those access points. Cohort number 7 went through the SIOP training, and we had a SIOP refresher for our administrators. We delved a little deeper into the proficiency level descriptors for our LAP teachers. And the reason for that is that when you look at the can-do descriptors, that talks about what they can do like right now. The proficiency level descriptors are more aligned to where we're trying to move them to at that particular level. So the goal for both is great, but it takes a lot of work to dive into those PLDs. We want to make sure our LAP teachers are well versed in that. So we will have that training again later on to basically add on to what we received earlier this school year. I've been sending professional learning resources to each building. So that ESL, ELL teacher survival guide was sent. We also sent every administrator the Making Content Comprehensible book after their SIOP training. The last cohort group also received that. And this is just a copy of 2 of our book studies. The orange one, co-planning, is the work we're doing this year. But I'm also being mindful because I know that our LAP teachers also have to have professional learning at the building level on other district initiatives. So I'm mindful to not put too much on them at one time. So as you hear or you see these things, just know these resources are available, and they're a great addition. If you as a building leader have a book that you would like us to order that is connected to your English learners, your multilingual learners, please let me know. We would love for you to have a book study. I know Principal Britton has had some in the past. Principal Richard has. Principal Wickard has. So I am definitely open to that. If you want to pull a small group together and do a book study to really build that knowledge base, just reach out and let me know. For our ongoing projects, this is exciting news. You know, we always hear about people don't know, you know, how to grade or how to assess a level 1 with a content level or grade level assessment, right? We hear it all the time. Like, what do I do? How do I do that? So right now, we are working on a multilingual assessment guidance document. We work that work was with Dr. Olson and Megan Campbell. We started it with the coaches. Then we took that work to the LAP, like a group of LAP teachers. And now I'm working on it, going a little bit deeper. Our goal is for us to take an example of one of our district assessments that we use. We're not talking exit tickets or little, you know, quick checks. We're talking about an actual like unit assessment. We're going to have examples that show what the assessment looks like, but then what does it look like for a level 1? Where we're keeping the integrity of the assessment, we're making the appropriate accommodations to meet the needs of a level 1 student. And the reason we're doing that is because all we hear over and over is not the what, like, yeah, we know, you know, we know it, but how do we do it? What does it look like? People want visible examples. I always tell people we could all read a book and come out of it with 5, 10, 15 different interpretations of what it looks like. But if we can give our classroom teachers an example of what it could look like for a level 1 student, that will go a long way. People are able to go along with that and get meaningful work done. Now, we're not going to do it for every assessment. We're going to be honest, because that would take a real long time and a lot of manpower. But we're going to be able to show them for kindergarten, for a level 1, this is what the assessment could look like, and have it right next to that grade level assessment. For 9 through 12, the same thing. And we're going to follow it based on those can-do descriptors and those clusters. So a kindergarten version, a first grade version, a 2nd through 3rd, a 4 through 5, a 6 through 8, a 9 through 12. So that is going to continue. And Dr. Law is helping me to fine tune that work. It won't be finished until at least the end of the school year. But we want to make sure that you know that it's something that we've heard and something that we want to really make sure is completed for our teachers to help them feel successful in that area. We've heard about the science of reading. You know, it's everywhere. Every educational book that you open up, you hear the science of reading. Well, we're going to really make sure we continue to focus on what does that mean for multilingual learners. So as I'm working with Dr. Olson, as they're putting things together, they're sharing ideas, I'm sharing ideas to make sure that we can capture what needs to be done. It doesn't mean that our English learners don't need, you know, certain parts of it. It means what extra do we need to add? So if a child can decode the word dog, but they don't know what dog means in English, what supports do we provide? What visual support? What things do we provide for them so they can make those connections to aid the meaning, the vocabulary, and ultimately that comprehension piece, okay? As I think about next year, we're going to really work hard on a guidance document for when to translate, okay? We have a huge spectrum where people are translating everything and students are not gaining the English that they need to gain. And then other people on the other end where people aren't seeing any type of translation being done. We want to come to a happy medium and have a guidance document to give teachers an idea of when they should provide translation support, how much support to provide. You know, I know, Tim, we were at your school today, and I did appreciate seeing how the teacher, she had English, the English word, the Spanish word, and there was a visual picture. And he was using both of those. And, for him, that was perfect to help him make those connections to English. He wasn't just left to his own devices. He had actual written words and visual supports. And so we want to make sure teachers have the support that they need in that area. Just so you know, Reading Horizons continues to be used for our level 1 newcomers in grades K through 12. I am also collaborating with several surrounding school districts to really focus in on some of their programming ideas and the data that they have. Because even though we're doing great things here in Wayne, I know that we can also learn from other spaces as well. So seeing how they're using their staff, how many staff do they have to students, looking at that ratio. What does the programming look like? What are their WIDA scores looking like based upon the programming that they have? So I have dates scheduled with surrounding school districts to get that information from them and see if there's anything we can glean from it. And then just a reminder that our level 5 students, when they exit the program, we still have to monitor them for year 1 and year 2. And so William has been sending out information to schools to make sure that's done because it is a requirement. But if we want to, if we need any helpful nudges, we'll reach out to staff members so they can make sure that the classroom teacher is getting that form done. Okay. So that was long, but I thank y'all. Buki, you are up.
Thank you so much.
William. Is it William or Buki? It's one of y'all. Go ahead, Buki. William, we'll catch you on the end. Go ahead, Buki.
It's okay. So as we continue to build connections with our family and support, we have different events that are created for our multilingual families. And as we all know, our big event for the year, our annual district LAP Family Night. This past year, it was really, really well attended with great turnout. We also have school-based LAP Family Night, and of course, our monthly multilingual family meetings. We alternate these meetings each month in person, and the other month will be virtual. So we kind of alternate them from month to month. We also have meetings for family with refugee status to really be able to cater specifically for their needs and make them feel very, very welcome, even to the new community, to acclimate to their new environment. And of course, we have this meeting that we are holding. We have 2 each school year, the EL broad-based committee meetings. So this past couple months, we had a survey for all our parents, all our families, just to kind of get a feedback from them. So we've been meeting, we've been sharing resources, we share information, and they seem, well, they liked it. I don't want to say they seem to like it. They really, really appreciate and they liked it. So we rolled out a survey, and here are some of the highlights from that survey. Parents really shared that they shared that they really feel welcomed and valued, and they also feel appreciated in our school buildings. Part of the highlights were that they mentioned the diversity, how diverse that we are, which kind of fosters connection, between staff and students. We also heard from parents or families that they love our effective communication. Just like we mentioned during this meeting, the many ways we strive to communicate to our families by incorporating other languages through Parent Square and the language line. They mentioned that they love and appreciate the student family-focused culture in our district. We're not just focusing on students, but we really do care about the entire family. And we can see this through all the family-focused events that we plan, like the annual family night, the international festival, not just the big event, the LAP family night. We also have school-based family night, like I mentioned before, which is a really good event, programs that's held in different buildings. And of course, we got from them that we have amazing school system, it really brought joy, to us, for us to receive such comments from our parents. And we see the areas of growth. Every now and then we try to weave in different topics so that we're not just repeating ourselves each month. So one of those areas which we have focused on is the mental health and wellness, which we all know and will agree that is crucial for both adults and children if we want to experience a stable and successful living. So parents do share that they will appreciate more of those topics, bringing individuals, presenters to talk more about mental health, and we are looking into that. They also mentioned that they want history from multicultural standpoint. Pretty much what this means is that they just want to continue to feel that inclusion. And we're so thankful that this is part of our goal as we strive to do that from time to time. We engage in virtual field trips, and in previous times, some of those trips have included a visit to the Great Wall of China. We have visited Ellis Island. We have visited the Children's Museum, all virtually. And of course, we celebrate each heritage, like this month of February, we are celebrating the Black History Month. And then later on in the year, we have the Hispanic Heritage Month, the Native American Month, and so forth. So we kind of celebrate each person and families. They want to, families desire more information about scholarship opportunities. They want to know more about opportunities for the high school students. And this month of February, the office actually came, to the Office of Career, and sorry, it just
You're all right.
So they came to do the presentation during our meeting, and it was so engaging. They asked questions and they were able to, answer them, which was really fulfilling for those families. They also want more school-related information, like we always do. And safety. This safety, it was a bit funny when we saw safety, but we kind of dig deeper. And what the person that mentioned safety, they just want general tips, especially because that person was a newcomer. We don't know what trauma, such individual has experienced in their, the country where they're coming from. So they just want to be assured that, this is a new place for them. They want to talk more about safety. And of course, we try our best to give them such information. Welfare, that's our top priority. We do, from time to time, connect families to adequate welfare resources like food, housing, employment, and everything, basic things that they will need to make life comfortable for them. Adult education is another point that is really becoming famous and popular among our families. They ask questions, they want to, learn English. They also want to do the career piece. And of course, some of our parents have actually attended the adult education and graduated, and they are even employed, which is really encouraging. And these are some of the people that we have brought in the recent past to address, share information with our families. The Office of College and Career Readiness, like I mentioned before, they came this month of February, and in the past, we brought mental health specialists. We invited the adult ed. We invited some other individuals from the community, our community partners. And they all have been very engaging, and the families have appreciated all those individuals.
Thank you, Buki.
You're welcome.
Okay, so as you can see, our department is very, has a high priority in communicating with families, and a testament of that is that our department has two designated people, Buki and I. We work together in that front, and recently, this past month, some people from the church from Chapel Rock came along, and that they have heard from us, and they wanted to talk to us about a program that they are trying to put in place for teaching ESL to adults. So I kind of felt good about the fact that they have heard about things that we're doing. So the things that Buki was talking about, the meetings and all the information that we share with the families, we try to leave that in a specific place for them to come back and get that information when they need to. So we have the YouTube channel that we upload our monthly meetings. Sometimes we make tutorials um, for specific things like how to navigate Skyward, or how to do download the Parent Square app and things like that. And also our website, the website that is part of the main website, Wayne website. We try to put specific information there, like the newcomers booklet is located there. So if every family, a newcomer family, if they want that information, they can. We kind of not, point them out to in that direction, so they can just download it instead of waiting for us to mail out those booklets. And that is just some examples of things that are there, but there is a lot of information that we upload, and we try to strategically give our families, and we hope to continue revising the content that we have, and seeing ways that we can improve upon the content, and upload more information for those families. But it's definitely, if you want to take a look at those resources, you are welcome to go to those to the website and to the parent channel when you are able to. And you can also suggest to us things that you believe that would be great for us to offer to our EL families in Wayne Township.
Awesome. Thank you, William. Okay, we're getting ready to wrap up. Just a quick focus on the strategic plan. I know that people on this Zoom meeting have been very involved in that. And as we think about reconceptualizing our teaching and learning, we know that our students are a huge part of that. And I thought about all the work that we do in this department, and you all are a very important part of that work. We also want to make sure that we don't forget about that student belonging piece. We want our students to know that they can bring their most authentic self to school every day. They don't need to leave parts of themselves at the door. And so I think our schools are doing a great job of embracing students and learning from each other, because our goal is to create a group of young people when they leave us and graduate that can live and work in a global society. And when we have our meetings and we have different events, we can just see the rich diversity that takes place there. We all know about the testing. We are in the heart of WIDA. We will hopefully be finished soon. The window will close in March, but we wanted to just thank each one of you. A couple months ago, we decided to send out a list of level 4 students that were close. They are close to level 5. And we just asked people to look at that group of students and pull them aside a little bit and just have a little conversation with them. I think those discussions were very helpful. They were able to look at where they were for reading, writing, listening, and speaking, and what they could do to move themselves closer to a level 5. The feedback we heard from some staff members was very, very positive. And we believe by helping our students, by showing them where they are, helping them to set a goal, but also giving them clear examples of what they need to do. I know, Jody, I always share this example of how you have created opportunities for students to see where they are, for example, in writing. If they received a 3, what do they need to do to be a level 4 reader? If they have a level 4 in writing, what exemplars can be shown to them to show them how to get to a level 5 so they could potentially exit? Just know that for iRead 3, that's coming soon for our third graders and our second graders. Guidance should be in the TLD newsletter this week, because remember, for our second graders, there is no penalty for them if they do not pass. It'll just give us a good data point and help us to know where they are. I learned, and of course, SAT will be coming up. William, I'm gonna go ahead and just do a quick one because we only have 1 minute left. William is really good, and so is Buki, at making sure that our parents understand the importance of Parent Square. When we have our meetings with our families that have refugee status, it's pulling out laptops, showing them about Skyward, showing them how to take advantage of Parent Square, because that hands-on piece is powerful. And when they can get it done right in front of us and we can help them, that's a huge impact. So I would definitely encourage you at your buildings to see if that's an opportunity while you have them in front of you to get those opportunities set up for Parent Square, because it's huge in our district. But we know it's made a huge difference for our families that have refugee status. Now, this next part, because it is about 30 seconds left, we want to thank you, of course, for being here, but I will definitely stay on this call if you have any questions, anything that you want to ask, any concerns. But I thank y'all for giving an hour up on an evening that's a very, very, very busy time of year. But I'm here for you. If you have any questions, I will stay on this call, but you can always call, email, text me, whatever is the most convenient for you. Thank y'all for being here today.